Hey math kids, today we're going to talk about the angle between two vectors, and the angle between two vectors A and B can be found using this. So vector A dot vector B, so that's what we just did on the previous video, and then the magnitude of A times by the magnitude of B, like that. Okay, so we're going to use this formula. We're given P is equal to 2, 3, negative 1. We're given Q is negative 1, 0, 2. And we want to find the angle between P and Q. So we're just going to plug it in to this formula. First, let's find the dot product between the two. So P dot B. And so we multiply common terms, we get negative 2. Multiply these, we get 0. Multiply these, negative 2. Add those all together, we get negative 4. So the top of our thing is negative 4. Now we need to find the magnitude of P and the magnitude of Q. So the magnitude is 2 squared plus 3 squared plus negative 1 squared, all under square root. And so that's going to be 4 plus 9 plus 1, which is the square root of 14. So that goes right here. And then Q is going to be negative 1 squared plus 0 squared plus 2 squared, which is 1 plus 4, which is the square root of 5. And so if we're trying to find the angle, what we need to do, we can just keep it like this. If we really want to, we can multiply 14 by 5 and get 70. And if we take the inverse cosine of both sides, we're going to have the inverse cosine of negative 4 over the square root of 70. And that's where we go to a calculator to help us. I'm going to make sure we're in degrees. And so we go inverse cosine negative 4 divided by square root 70, end our parentheses, and we get 3 significant figures would give us 119 degrees. Okay. Now, a couple things to note. If we ever do A dot B and our answer is 0, that means that our vectors are perpendicular. Okay. If we ever do the magnitude of A dot B, and that equals the magnitudes individually multiplied together, that means that those are parallel. Yeah, and let's just go to the next example. It says find a vector of length 3, which is perpendicular to negative 1, 4. Alright, so the way we're going to approach this, if you remember with slope, like if you had 3 halves as your slope and we needed the perpendicular slope, you would flip and then change the sign, the opposite reciprocal. So we're going to do the same thing here. So we have negative 1, 4, and we do a dot, and then we do 4, 1. So we flipped it and changed the signs, changed one of the signs. this should give us 0. So let's just double check that. So we get negative 4 plus 4, and that does equal 0. So we know that these are perpendicular based on this relationship right here. So we are going to use this because that's going to be perpendicular. And then we need to know what the length of this is to begin with. And so we find the magnitude. So square root of 17. So like we did on one of the previous problems, we're going to take 4, 1, and divide it by the square root of 17. So what that's going to do is that turned it into a unit vector, or a 1 unit vector. Now we want the final length to be 3, so we just multiply it by 3. And so that is going to be a vector that is 3 units long, perpendicular to this, and and that's it. Now if we want to, we can actually multiply that through. So if we multiply this by 3 over the square root of 17, we're going to get 12 over square root of 17. If we multiply that, it's 3 over square root of 17. And so that's another way we could represent that final vector. Okay, so A and B both have length 5. Oh, sorry. So this one is 5, and this one is square root of 7. Those are the lengths. And the angle between them is 110. Wants us to find A dot B. Okay, so we want to find this. So we have that formula. Okay. So if we just do a little bit of algebra, we can multiply both sides by this. These cancel. Okay, so we just need to find this stuff. So we know theta. Theta is right here. We know A is 5. We know, or the magnitude is 5. So this is, and this. Okay, we actually can just plug everything in. So we plug in 5 times square root of 7 times cosine of 110. And that's going to give us our answer. So go to our calculator. We're going to say 5 times square root of 7 times cosine 110 and we get negative 4.525. If we went to 3 significant figures, it would look like that. Alright. We have one more question. Okay. Let me draw this diagram real quick. Okay, so A is right here, and C is right here. Those are congruent. This is 4 centimeters. This is 3 centimeters. This is 2 centimeters. And then we have B back here. Okay, it says use vector methods to determine the measure of ABC. So we need to find that angle. Okay. So if we place coordinates on this, we can, so if we call this the origin, and if we go 2, so remember this is X, this is Z, and this is Y. So the coordinates for A are going to be 2, 0, 0. The coordinates for B, let's see, we're 0 on the X. We're on kind of this back panel. So Y is going to be 4. And Z is 2. And then C is going to be 1 towards X, because it's halfway. And then 4 on the Y. And 0 on Z. Okay, so we put some coordinates on there. And we're going to find A, B, C. And so we're going to draw a vector that goes from B to A. And if we do that, we're going to take A, which is 2, 0, 0, minus, 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 and B, which is 0, 4, 2. We simplify that, that's 2, negative 4, negative 2. Oh, this should have been a 3, because we went up 3. Sorry about that. So that's a 3, so that's a 3. Okay, so we found BA. And then we're going to do the same thing with BC. So we have C, 1, 4, 0. And then we have B, 0, 4, 3. Which is 1, 0, negative 3. Okay, now if we want to find the angle between those two, we can use our cosine thing, which is going to be BA dot BC over the magnitude of BA times the magnitude of BC. So if we do the dot product, we multiply those, we get 2. Multiply those, we get 0. Multiply those, we get 9. And so our dot product is 11. So the top of this fraction is going to be 11. Now, if we find the magnitude of this, it's going to be 2 squared, negative 4 squared, negative 3 squared, square root. 4 plus 16 plus 9, which is 29. So the square root of 29 is this one. And then over here, 1 squared plus 0 squared plus negative 3 squared, square rooted. 1 plus 0 plus 9, which is the square root of 10, which is this one, square root of 10. Alright, we just need to find that angle. So what I'm going to plug into the calculator is going to be inverse cosine on both sides. So 11 on top. I'm going to multiply those to 90. Go to the calculator. Inverse cosine of 11 divided by square root 290, end both parentheses. We get 49.8 degrees. And that's the measure of ABC. If you have additional questions, please come to Math Lab. Until then, calculator.